Hi, my name is Angela Majors. I'm a senior at Buena Vista University, and I've done my presentation on the legalization of marijuana as a social movement. Since the 1970s, a group called NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, has been pushing for legalization. The supporters of the group NORML thought that marijuana would be legal in just a few years. They just can't believe that it's been 40 years and they haven't made it to legalization. Their efforts ultimately went nowhere, as campaigns by parents combined with sharp opposition by law enforcement and elected officials to keep marijuana on the list of substances that could land you in jail. As you can see from this graph, opinions have changed drastically since 1969, when Gallup first asked the question and found that just 12% of Americans favored legalizing marijuana. Times have definitely changed. Maybe because people have seen marijuana use in their own lives and those of others and see its relative harmlessness or see its benefits for medical use and have changed their minds based on accumulating evidence. Majority of those who have never tried marijuana, actually 63%, say people convicted of small amounts of marijuana should not spend time in jail. Marijuana was legal to possess in the U.S. That was up until 1937. When the federal government banned its use and the possession of marijuana. After the Mexican Revolution of 1910, Mexican immigrants flooded into the U.S., introducing to American culture the recreational use of marijuana. The drug became associated with immigrants, and the fear and prejudice about Spanish-speaking newcomers became associated with marijuana. Anti-drug campaigners warned against the encroaching marijuana menace, and terrible crimes were attributed to marijuana and the Mexicans who used it. In the 1930s, claims were made about marijuana's ability to cause men of color to become violent and solicit sex from white women. Although it was ruled unconstitutional years later, the Tax Act was replaced with the Controlled Substances Act in the 1970s, establishing marijuana as a dangerous and potentially addictive drug. About 30 million Americans have smoked marijuana in the past year. Over half of them do so regularly. Government health surveys find that young whites use marijuana at higher rates than young blacks and Latinos. But the NYPD arrests blacks for marijuana possession at 7 times the rate of whites and Latinos at nearly 4 times the rate of whites. Having never smoked marijuana myself, I was shocked at the number of kids that reported having used marijuana at least once in the past year. 17% of 8th graders, 36% of 10th graders, and 46% of 12th graders, 6% of them being daily users. Although it's just the beginning, 4 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized marijuana for adult recreational use. 23 states in the United States have passed laws allowing its use as a treatment for medical conditions. 4 states have actually decriminalized the possession of marijuana if it's less than 1 ounce. In the state of Nebraska, if you have less than 1 ounce on your first offense, it's an infraction. Less than 1 ounce on your second offense is a misdemeanor. Less than 1 ounce on your third offense is also a misdemeanor. More than 1 pound is a felony, and up to 5 years in prison. This map shows the marijuana legal status for the United States. Marijuana is legal for recreational use in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Alaska, and Washington, D.C. Again, like I said on the last slide, it has been decriminalized for possession of marijuana in 4 states if you have under 1 ounce. 7 states have legalized marijuana for medicinal use only, and 9 states have made it legal for medicinal use or decriminalized. That leaves 23 states that still have marijuana being illegal for medicinal or recreational use. The states that have legalized marijuana have seen quite a boost in revenue. Colorado controls the tax and sale of marijuana. Since it became legal in January, the state of Colorado has collected $29.8 million in all marijuana taxes, fees, and licenses. The state of Washington has a 25% excess tax that could generate as much as $1.9 billion over the next 5 years. During the first month of legal marijuana sales in the marijuana state, stores sold just under $3.8 million worth. Although it's been denied, documents have been found that have shown that Big Tobacco is interested in taking part in production and sales of marijuana to complement or compete with tobacco. Tobacco companies already see a fast-developing billion-dollar industry that they're already ramped up for in every aspect, from the farming fields all the way to production, packaging, and marketing. Everything is already in place for them. If Big Tobacco gets involved, this could definitely speed up the legalization process. About 20 million Americans have been arrested since 1937 for the possession of marijuana. That makes one marijuana arrest every 42 seconds. These arrests and jail terms have cost the taxpayers $15.75 billion. Many Americans, along with 52% of police officers, favor legalizing weed. They believe that arresting people for marijuana is a waste in dollars and young lives. Many also believe that legalizing marijuana would give the police the ability to focus on violent crimes instead of petty crimes of marijuana possession. 23 states have legalized marijuana for medical use. According to one scientist, the human body already makes marijuana-like chemicals that affect pain, inflammation, and many other processes. It's believed that marijuana can sometimes help those natural chemicals work better. Pain's the main reason people ask for prescriptions. It could be from headaches or back pain, a disease like cancer, or a long-term condition such as glaucoma or nerve pain. Many people think that medical marijuana use is a safer alternative to prescription drugs, which kill about 100,000 people in the world each year. Anyone can die from ingesting too much aspirin or too much coffee or too much alcohol, but marijuana is considered non-lethal. There are health risks related to smoking marijuana, including increased risk for heart attack. Marijuana raises your heart rate by 20 to 100% shortly after smoking it. This effect can last up to 3 hours. Marijuana users have a 4 times more increase in the risk of heart attack in the first hour after smoking a joint. High doses of marijuana can produce a temporary psychotic reaction involving hallucinations and paranoia in some users, and using marijuana can stay in your system for up to 4 days. The smoke from marijuana is said to be toxic and harmful to your lungs. Smoking 3 to 4 joints is the equivalent of 20 tobacco cigarettes. So, what's been happening in Colorado since marijuana has been legalized? Hospitals have seen an increase in kids made ill by edible marijuana products like candy and baked goods. Denver area hospitals and the State Poison Control Service have seen 14 cases of marijuana intoxication in children over the last 2 years, half of which required admission to intensive care units. These cases occurred primarily with edible marijuana products, many which are fashioned to look like candies or energy bars. Also, the University of Colorado Burn Unit has seen an increase in hospitalizations for burns resulting primarily from flash fires that occur when a user is trying to extract THC and other active marijuana constituents using butane. 31 marijuana-associated burns cases have been seen at this hospital, some over 70% of the body surface area and 2/3 requiring skin grafts. Hospitals have also seen an influx of adults having psychotic episodes, and something that was not thought about is a marijuana-associated cyclic vomiting syndrome. Marijuana is often used to manage nausea and vomiting for cancer chemotherapy, but this syndrome was an unexpected finding. The frequent use of high THC-containing marijuana products was linked to a doubling in the syndrome since recreational marijuana legalization. Patients have reported severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and profuse sweating. There's been a lot of research about the addictive quality of marijuana, It's said that 1 out of 6 adolescent users become addicted, and half the people who receive treatment are under the age of 25. Long-term marijuana users trying to quit report withdrawal symptoms including irritability, sleeplessness, decreased appetite, anxiety, and drug craving, all of which can make it difficult to quit. After smoking marijuana for quite some time, a tolerance builds up, and marijuana can lead users to consume stronger drugs to achieve the same high. The vast majority of cocaine users, 99.9% of them, began by first using a gateway drug like marijuana, cigarettes, or alcohol. Research showed that kids are 85 more times likely to use cocaine if they started with marijuana. But not everyone who smokes marijuana goes on to use harder drugs. Some never do. Others quit using marijuana altogether. But some do turn to harder drugs. Are these states going to be able to control the legalization? Well, the federal government didn't stand in the way of marijuana legalization in Colorado or Washington state. But if Colorado and Washington are unable to keep pot away from kids, or keep criminal gangs out of the marijuana industry, or keep marijuana from being trafficked into neighboring states, the federal government would consider cracking down. What hasn't been completely decided yet is how to keep stoned drivers off the road. The state of Colorado is expanding the number to 300 law enforcement officers trained as drug recognition experts. Combating drug driving is complicated because there's no instant roadside test for marijuana, and results might be meaningless anyway. Marijuana can be detectable weeks after a high is worn off. There were also some new laws enacted in May that require that marijuana edibles are going to be sold in child-resistant, opaque, resealable packaging. The state is now deciding how edibles can be shaped, stamped, or colored to show they contain marijuana. Too many children are coming in contact with these products and think that they're candy. Studies have suggested a link between marijuana use and mental illnesses like depression or schizophrenia. There's also been some talk about an amotivational syndrome that causes people to not care much about things, become lazy, and just sit around and want to smoke pot. I believe the legalization of marijuana will cause an increased use because of its availability. I think more teens will use it because it'll be able to be bought by other people without the possibility of legal action. I've never tried marijuana myself, but I don't believe people should be convicted of small amounts of marijuana or spend time in jail. Many lives have been ruined over smoking pot even for the first time. As America has learned with alcohol, taxes don't begin to cover the cost to society of destroying families, lost productivity, and ruined lives. And regulators still have not succeeded in keeping alcohol from underage drinkers. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and here are the references I used for my presentation. Thanks.